Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Good Enough Chats. Today I'm joined by Steve, who I will ask to introduce himself very shortly. But before I do that, for the benefit of anybody who hasn't seen one of these conversations before, I just wanted to explain how it's structured. So every time I speak to somebody in one of these conversations, it's always based around the same five questions. And the person being interviewed sees these questions in advance, so they can decide how much they want to kind of pre-prepare, how much work they want to do to kind of make sure that they're comfortable having these conversations. And for me, that's really important because it means that Steve, in this instance, is in complete control of this discussion on a very sensitive subject. And if at any point in time he feels like the conversation's going down a line that he doesn't want to go into, all he's got to do is say, I don't really want to talk about that, and we'll revert back to the core five questions that we've got. So every conversation is based around those five questions. I don't know, however, what Steve is going to say back to me. So I don't know how much he's prepared. I don't know what he's going to say. And that's really important because what you're going to get is a very natural chat at the back of it, which is the whole idea here. So, with all of that said, Steve, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
My name's Steve Jackson, and I'm a drummer, songwriter, and father of two. Well, actually, father of three. Actually, no, a father of four. But that's a long story. I'll save you that one for now. A proud father, and the man I want to be is a good father, a good parent, and I'm getting there. It's been a rocky road, but I'm getting there. So yeah, that's me. I'm 69. I'll be 70 on March the 10th next year. I keep myself pretty fit, but I try to. I possibly drink a bit too much, but more than I'm supposed to, according to doctors. But fortunately, it's not got to any danger levels as such. So, but I try to keep myself fit, and a bit of swimming in the sea in Cornwall, and riding my bike when I can. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to jump straight into the first question, Steve, which is what's got you to the point where you are sharing your lived experiences of mental health with us here today? Why are you doing this now?
I'm doing it because I really do believe that getting things out in the open, not holding on to failures or depression or any kind of mental ailment, getting it out there and sharing it is possibly the only way to getting through. So what got me here? Well, recently I became separated from my beautiful wife, but we still love each other. But it worked out that she bravely stood up and said that it wasn't working. I had no idea it wasn't working. Being a typical man, I was kind of okay with it all, but she pointed out that this wasn't working. Well, it was devastating. We had two young children living with us, a boy and a girl, 8 and 10, and I was absolutely floored by this. I wasn't sure how to cope with it at all. As it happens, I recently joined a group called A Band of Brothers, which is a mentoring organisation which mentors young men from the age of 18 to 25. Young men that have, through a lack of positive role models, various other reasons, have fallen by the wayside with regard to drink, drugs, offending, prison. So we as mentors step up and provide that positive role model. The only way we can do that is by looking into ourselves and working on ourselves to make sure that we are in the right place in order and have the right tools in order to fulfill that role. So yes, with the breakup of my marriage, it's not broken up. We still love each other very much, but she couldn't live with me anymore because I went through a depression, which I didn't realize I was going through. It wasn't the depression that I had in my mid 40s, which was the one that nearly did for me. I actually was suicidal on that occasion, in that period of my life, and even phoned the Samaritans, which is a beautiful, or I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about it, but a beautiful organisation that is, because I just spoke to somebody I felt that I could speak to somebody openly about my depression. Everybody would ask me, hey, how are you doing, Steve? And I'd say, okay, I'm all right, yeah, not bad. And inside I was absolutely broken, and I can only assume that this was visible. But once again, I don't know whether people felt awkward or my friends felt awkward about looking the way I looked. I was thin, gaunt, just generally physically not in good shape. And so much so that I remember this feeling of being outside in the grass, in the rain. It curled up in a ball, crying. And I sort of woke up and thought, what are you doing? Why are you here? Why am I here? And it was then that I realised that, this has now gone too far, along with the thoughts of how will I end this? Actually thinking of ways to commit suicide. It was a dreadful point. But then a friend of mine phoned me, James Halliwell, a lovely friend, old friend. And he phoned me and he said, hey, how are you doing, Steve? And instead of me saying, oh, not bad, okay, I said, James, I'm absolutely fucked. I'm broken, and I burst into tears. And he said, fantastic. That's wonderful. Wonderful to hear you say that. And it really shocked me hearing those words. What he was saying was, Steve, you've admitted to something. He's obviously been through depression, and he said, you've just admitted that you're depressed. This is the path. This is the way forward. He recommended a book by Deepak Chopra. It's called The 7 Spiritual Laws, and it really helped me. I read that book, and suddenly I saw colour. I saw colour around me. The grey, everything was grey. Suddenly became colourful. So I effectively came out of this depression, and so I then knew. I know what I touched on what it's like to be depressed, and whoa, it's not a good place to be. And so yes, once again, that was talking. Well, now I've gone through a separation which broke my heart and lots of tears. And instead of me saying, "Oh, that's me, fuck," then let's just drink and feel sorry for myself, look for something to blame, someone to blame. It's got to be somebody else's fault. No, it isn't. With a band of brothers and the togetherness, and the support I had from those wonderful men in our circle, they guided me into looking at myself and owning up to my faults, my failures, shall we say, although we do say in a band of brothers, fail is first attempt in learning, which I quite like. So we learn by our mistakes. So it's the importance of being open, honest, authentic about my feelings, that has brought me here today to share that with with other men, or anybody who watches this podcast. The importance of getting it out in the open.
Thank you, Steve. That's you talking about that experience, you sharing, where you were, I guess, 25 years ago, and the depths of your experience then, but having you here to talk about it 25 years later, I can't tell you how important that is, not not just for the people that are watching this, but how glad I am that you are here to be able to share this experience and to be able to live your life. Um, that's a really it's a powerful um, insight, I think, into your some of your experiences from years gone that you've just opened up with. Um, let's kind of bring it a bit forward to the present day. How have you been over the last week or so?
This last week has been pretty amazing, actually. The weekend you've caught me on the back of the what's known as the Quest weekend, which is where we it's like a rites of passage for the young men that are being mentored. It's like an initiation process. It's not like we don't sort of hang them up by their balls from a tree or anything, or it's nothing like that. It's more the pain is looking inward. There's a sequence of activities that I can't really tell you about now because it needs to remain a surprise or a secret, shall we say, before the young men get there. Otherwise, it'll take away the impact. But it's just, I can safely say that it's a series of events that help, that guide the young men into looking inwardly. And this is a painful experience a lot of the time. It's hard, but so fulfilling, because at the end of that weekend we see a growth in the young men, and they're more even just after that weekend, they're more purpose, more positivity. Oh, it's just amazing. So of course this then reflects on us, so we come through that. It's now Thursday, so I'm still feeling a pretty amazing as a result of it, because it's like life affirming, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a fantastic experience. So yeah, it's been an interesting, you caught me on a really interesting, but it's not an ordinary week, but I'm feeling good from that, and ready for the challenge of keep continuing with mentoring the young man that has been chosen for me. It's a selection process by the leaders that say, oh, well, Steve would be good for that young man. So yeah, I'm now ready for the challenge of taking that forward.
Yeah, and we'll give a mention as well at the end of this Band of Brothers, but the I can hear how beneficial it is to you to be in that role and doing that, fulfilling that role as a mentor, as it is to the people that you are mentoring. It sounds like there's a clear mutual fulfillment.
Oh, without a doubt, it's just giving. It's the law of giving. It comes back twofold, so it's we're in service to these young men, but by giving, we get so much back. And it's not as could be seen as selfish. Yeah, it is kind of in a kind of way. Yeah, we benefit greatly as mentors, completely, because we have the support of each other, and we have if we have any kind of problem, I can go to any one of the brothers and have that dealt with in a grown up masculine way.
Yeah. And
So
that's something.
Sorry,
I was going to say it's something that I think many people who are watching this will probably think, I wish I had that that facility for myself. Which of course harks back to what you said at the opening of this. It was when you were at your deepest point of despair, it was your friend saying, brilliant, you've acknowledged it. And that's where the conversation starts, to help somebody on their begin their sort of journey, their recovery journey from that point. And I guess why am I saying this? I guess I'm saying it because not everybody will have access to something like Band of Brothers, but everybody will have somebody that they can start that conversation with, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, or whether it's kind of professional support. There is always somebody that you can start that conversation with that will help you to then take those steps to making positive changes that will help you to get out of it. So you're not kind of in that place any longer than you absolutely need to be. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit at that point, Steve. I apologize. So you've kind of touched on some of the experiences that you've had from that moment in your 40s of deep despair, your kind of introduction to Band of Brothers post the breakup of your marriage, and the positive impact that that's had. How has your relationship with your mental health evolved over the years? And kind of, do you know, obviously that point in the 40s was desperate, but can you see now where you feel like you first realized that you were struggling with your mental health?
Yes, would have been once again, and I keep harking on about it, but it's being tutored and mentored myself by men in a circle, within a circle where I could open up about what the issues I have. There's anger issues, self-worth. These are all wounds that I've carried through my life since a child. We're wounded as children, and we carry those wounds throughout our life. And it's only when they're looked at, or the feeling of self-worth would have come from somebody said something to me, a teacher or something, who would have either said, you're never going to be any good. That did actually happen with my first headmaster, Mr. Sweetman, in Headcorn Primary School. He actually had me down as somebody that would never come to anything for whatever reason. He had his reasons. I think my old dad was a bit naughty at school, and I went to the same school, so I got late. I was then labelled with this, and that he instilled a feeling of a lack of self-worth, or I would never come to anything. I proved him wrong, because I finished up traveling the world with a successful band, seen pretty much a lot of the world, and I've achieved so much in my life, because I've fought through that lack of self-worth. I still have it, self-doubt. That's a real big one with me. I have to. I sort of ask permission for everything that I do. My wife pointed this out. She said, "Why are you asking me to, should I put the kettle on? No. Oh, shall I put a log on the fire? Why are you asking me?" And it was she spotted this, and then I caught myself doing it. And then, of course, all it is me not having the confidence to make these decisions on my own. I had to ask permission all the time. It's actually quite comical. I just noticed, oh, you've done it again. Why don't you just do it? Why don't I just do it? Not you. So yeah. So I realize the realization of these shall we say problems or setbacks or wounds. The realization that they are there and watching them come in, and then saying, noticing myself doing these things, and say, right, you're doing it again. Notice, and then deal with it. So it's a growth process. So I'm still learning how to be a man. Really, it's never too late. I'm still learning and getting better all the time, and it's not going to be long before I am the man I want to be.
That process that you just kind of explained of kind of catching or noticing the things that you're doing and then kind of consciously trying to almost reprogram the way that you react to those situations, that very much feels like the kind of the model that you'd follow if you went through cognitive behavioral therapy. Have you been through CBT or something similar to that, or has it happened through other means?
No, I'm not officially. I think I've gone through that with a band of brothers. Actually, I think we have role play and activities and therapies within the group for different aspects of our personalities and or issues that we have. Work, we call it work. It's our work, my work, to go through a process. I can only assume that's what you said, the three words that you just said.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I'm pretty sure that's what we do. I'm almost certain that's what we do. In order to be able to see the issue, to actually see this, it's got out. It's the wound that I've carried for years. I get to be able to see it, get it out, and then fucking throw it away. So it's gone now. That's got rid of it. It's the first step to overcoming that debilitating, limiting belief.
For the benefit of people that are listening to this discussion, and this might be, I don't know, it might be a tricky one to answer, but is there like a before and after that you could give us that would kind of illustrate how, well, I guess before, this is what I was doing, then I've had these kind of constructive conversations, I've learned that that's what I'm doing, and now I've thrown that away, and as a consequence of that, this is what it's now like. And that's a big kind of thing to ask of you on the spot, but is there an example you can think of?
Yes, there is actually. Having owned up and held myself accountable for I'll say failings, and the mistakes, the not being present with my children, because before I'd realized, I didn't realize I wasn't present with them. This is the problem. So this was the problem. But through absolutely owning up to my faults and not blaming other people or other things, which is very easy which I find very easy to do. Oh, okay, Well, if that hadn't have happened, I'd have been all right. Oh, if they hadn't have done that, I'd be okay. No, it was me. It was my. That's what that led to the breakdown of my marriage to my beautiful wife, who I admire greatly and I still love very much, and always will. Um, she with her standing up and bravely saying, "Look, you need to sort this out. You need to sort yourself out. You're depressed. You're not with the children. You're thinking about writing a song. You're thinking about finishing that drum track. You're thinking about getting on the phone to try and get some. All the insecurities that and distractions that a person in my profession has. We're self-obsessed, basically. Artists can be self-obsessed. We're not only artists; all people can be self-obsessed, but artists generally probably a bit more, because it's all about me. It's all about, oh, I've got to do that, got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to. But when I realised that I wasn't present with my children, through owning up to it, I have them when I have them to stay with me. They're never far away because my studio is near where they live, so I see them every day. But when they come and stay with me, I throw the fucking phone away. I throw all thoughts of everything, the world away, and I'm with them. I'm absolutely 100% with them. And God, it was amazing. It was an epiphany, because suddenly we went swimming in the sea, and it was like I was swimming for the first time. The sea felt like silk and sort of oily, lovely, sort of soft, caressing silk. Whereas before I'd be in there going, "Oh God, I can't wait to get out." God, Jesus, it's freezing. But no, not on this occasion. I was just swimming with them and present with them, enjoying it like a child. I was like a 4-year-old child again. It was as if it was the first time I'd ever been in the sea. And that's because I was just present with them. And I wouldn't have been present with them if I hadn't separated from or gone through this painful separation and looked inside as to what the problems were.
Mm.
So that would be a real pivotal point, or a graphic example of coming through. The depression that I was going through, which the recent one was a depression. It was nothing like the one before, but it was a depression whereby I wasn't there. I wasn't in the moment. I was all mind elsewhere. It was brought about by grief. My dear mum died not too long ago. That hit me like a sledgehammer. And then a wonderful friend and work partner, Tom died, and I just went down. I didn't deal with the grief. Once again, through a band of brothers, they helped me deal with grief. They taught me that grief was beautiful. It's love. It's just love personified, or love manifested. Grief is a beautiful thing. I was thinking, oh God, down, just going down. No, they say, my grief for my mum and for Tom is a manifestation of my love for them, my deep love for them. So yeah.
Wow.
There we are. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going around in circles here.
No, you're not. You're touching on new things each time. You're definitely not going round and round in circles. So the next question is about kind of the light bulb moments that stand out for you on your journey. You've already mentioned finding yourself curled up in the rain outside, kind of your kind of darkest moment, and the impact of your friend saying, "Brilliant, you've acknowledged that there's a problem." You've talked about the Band of Brothers experience more recently, dealing with grief, dealing with the breakup of your marriage. So I'd like to adapt that question slightly for you, which is, what was the period between that experience of despair in your 40s, and before you were you kind of realized that there was a challenge with your marriage. That kind of period of, I'm going to say, what, 20 years or so. How was your mental health during that period?
It was okay. Still, still a lack of presence. Probably drank too much. To be fair, trying to fill. Addiction comes from. I was addicted. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. Quite the root of that, I can only imagine, is I'm trying to fill something, or try to hide something. I'm not altogether sure what that was. Only that recently I can speak to that, your question, by saying the realization that when we sit within a band of brothers, when we sit in a circle, could be 12 to 15, sometimes 20 men sitting in a circle, and we all get a chance to check in. That means that we speak for 2 minutes about how we are, where we are at that moment in time, honestly. So we go, and any man can start, and it goes round to the left. So while this is going on, I'm looking at these men thinking, well, there's so-and-so over there. Oh, he's a good-looking guy. He's got a lovely job, a beautiful wife, a nice car. He's fine. Everything's fine. Do you know what? When it comes to his check-in, his honest, authentic check-in, it's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And then there's the realization that I'm not alone with whatever problems, the addictions I've had, or self-doubts, unworthiness, all these things. Suddenly, I realize I am not alone, and I think that in itself is so powerful, because up to recently, I've been thinking it was just me. Nobody felt like I did. It was just nobody feeling that, and almost I felt above. I don't know, just some sort of a, I don't know, just disconnected with. But now I fully believe that I'm at the connection with everybody in this world, and especially the group that I'm familiar with. Yes, of course, I could, they're the ones that open up to me, or have opened up to me. But it just makes me realise that, like, I see other people in the street, and I think, I wonder what's going on with that man. What I wonder. I just somebody might do something, instead of just putting him, or labeling, or using some sort of generalization to assess what that, and as even assume we have a thing in a band of brothers that we make no assumptions, because that person has got has issues that maybe from childhood, or who knows. But I feel an empathy with. I've always been quite an empathetic person. The lover in me just has always been sort of overworked. But I feel more empathy with everybody I see now, and I just want to be empathetic and caring and considerate, to other people, and not focus on myself so much.
Yeah, I think your kind of description of that sense of isolation that people can feel. You said, I thought it was just me that was feeling like this until I heard other people talking about this. I mean, again, in the context of Band of Brothers, that's the circle, but that's the circle of trust, isn't it? That's, everybody knows that they can be themselves, and they can open up, and they can say exactly what they're feeling, and other people are going to hear that, and they're going to think to themselves, well, I don't have that. And that's kind of the absence of that, or the absence of people's confidence that they can say how they're really feeling. That's the reason that these chats exist. That's why we're doing this, so that other people can see two people who, you and I have had one conversation prior to this, where I've kind of explained to you how this show works and things, and we've had a chance to sort of get to know each other a little bit. And yet here we are, two strangers talking about this now and putting it out there into the public, because I think we both realize that someone might see this and go, oh, other people, other blokes have dealt with these things. There is hope. There are things that I can do. There are things that I'm more in control of than perhaps I realized before. But they only know that because they're hearing it. And I think you're right. Men are crap at saying what they feel for whatever reason. They're crap about kind of talking about it, opening up, feeling that it's okay to do all of those things. And this is this is about trying to normalize th that action. I went out last night to catch up with a mate, and I'd said to him beforehand, I said, I need to decompress a little bit, because there are things going on at the moment that are starting to weigh more and more on my mind. And in the past, I would have let them continue to weigh on my mind and pretend, ignore kind of the conversations dealing with it. But I told him that I was going to decompress a bit, and I did. And he listened, he decompressed a bit, and then we had a good old chat and a pleasant evening, and it's done me the power of good just doing that. Um, so hearing you talk as you're talking about the experiences that you've had, all it does is just it backs up why people, blokes in particular, just need to grab the bull by the horns, some way, shape, or form, and speak up when they're not feeling great. Um, Apologize. I've done another one of those rambling things. Um, there's something about you, Steve. You're making me ramble, and I don't know why, but it's in a very positive way. Um, we're already out of the fifth question. Um, this has flown by. Um, the last question is, if somebody came to you today and some of the experiences that you've explained are things that they are going through or have been through, um, not as an expert, because none of us are experts in this, but you do have the badges to say I've been through this, right? Based on your experience, what's the most important thing that person can do to help themselves?
Open up. Be honest. Be authentic. Really break away that armor and open up the soft core inside, of which, and the issues, or any issues, whatever's going on for that man, get it out in the open. And as we're in a band of brothers, we listen as well. So there's a two-sided thing here. So the person that's inviting this open up honesty, opening up with honesty, that the person that's inviting that must listen attentively, without judgment, and with an empathy, uh, that in itself is empowering to, I believe, to the person that is going through this situation and opening up about it. So, but by doing that, it's essential. I do believe it's the only way. There are drugs and cognitive therapy and ways of doing it. I'm not a qualified, not qualified in the area of psychology. It's qualified in life experience, yes, but I do believe that opening up, but being absolutely honest, no matter what the issue is, it could be anything. It doesn't matter what it is, but it must come out honestly, and then that person must own that failing or feeling or whatever it is. It could be a whole gambit of issues, whatever they are. Be open and honest about it. Get it out in the open, and it will hopefully be listened to by somebody without judgment and with empathy. And then it's the way forward. Then then that person can go forward and get through this terrible situation that they're in.
And it's important to stress to people as well. You're not going to have you're not going to have a conversation and then suddenly everything's fixed, right?
No,
The conversation's the starting point,
that's it.
and the hard work starts then, because
That's it.
that's when you don't just reflect once. You kind of, it's like a chain reaction that you're kickstarting as self-reflection that helps you to advance and feel better and be better in the longer term, right?
Opening the gate, opening the door, so we either walk through it into ourselves or open the door for that to escape, to get out, not fester, not just sit inside and fester. Get it out.
Yeah.
And as you say, that's the beginning, and then of course we have to do our own work, and yeah, it's all doable. I've learned that it's not a brick wall. The light is there. It's there. It's there all the time, but it's just taking off the blinkers and the blindfold to see that light.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. It's been a real pleasure having this conversation. Um, if somebody has heard this and they would like to they'd like to chat to you about it, are people okay to get in touch?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. What I'll do is I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the description of the video so that people can do that um, and follow up with you. I think there's clearly there's a lot more stuff that we could talk about. I feel like we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But I really appreciate your time today and your candidness and openness. It's I think it's going to help people. And the kind of the mantra with this is, if it helps one person to realize that there are things that they can do to positively influence their own mental health, it's worth its weight in gold. So thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it. And thank you also to everybody that has watched this episode too. If you know people who might need to see this, please share the link with them. Make sure that they can see it. If you can like, comment, subscribe, all of the social media things that people do when you see this content, whether it's on LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever, that's massively appreciated, because I know from the experience of doing this that the way that we get other people coming forward to share their story is because they've seen somebody else do it already. So just as if you know somebody that needs to see this, please share it with them. if you know people that might be willing to come forward and share their story on a future episode of Good Enough Chats, please drop me a line. You can find my contact details all over the posts for this. Um, and all that remains to be said is thank you for your time. Thank you again, Steve. You've got
Could I
something to
just,
say? Yeah, absolutely.
Dan, thank you so much, man. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I think we could sit and have a couple of pints and have a right old chat somewhere along the line. It's been a real pleasure. I don't know if I can just put a little addition to the website of A Band of Brothers. If anybody
Yeah,
wants to go there, it's abandofbrothers.org.uk.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll link to that in the description as well. So again, if you want to go and check out the great work that A Band of Brothers is doing, please do. Um, but yes, thank you, Steve, thank you,
Thank you.
audience. We will be back again shortly with another episode of Good Enough Chats. But in the meantime, take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.